Welcome back to another session of Devtoberfest and another session dealing with low code, no code. And of course, today we're focusing on SAP Work Zone. So I have with me Rupam. Hi, Rupam.
Hi.
Hi. Rupam's going to talk about how to embellish, how to enhance the UI integration cards that we talked about earlier today. I think it'll be really interesting. I'd like to just give you a few notes before we start. So it's a little bit sad because we're winding down Devtoberfest, and this is the second to last day of sessions and the second to last low code, no code session that we're going to have. Remember to give feedback in the Devtoberfest group in the community. You still have a couple days to accumulate points, including the questions that deal with today's sessions for the Devtoberfest contest to win great prizes. I hope you're doing well with that. So without any further ado, Rupam, you can take it away.
Thank you. Let me share my screen. Right, hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Great. So thanks, Daniel, for the introduction. And hello, everyone. I am Rupam Bhattacharya, product manager at SAP, focusing mainly on digital experience products, one of which is SAP Work Zone. And in this session, we will explore the capabilities of UI integration cards and how to get the best out of such cards within SAP Work Zone. Now, let's take a quick look at the agenda. We will start with a quick recap of our previous sessions on Work Zone, which were done by my colleagues, Yumna and Florian. One was an introduction to SAP Work Zone, and the other one dealt with where we talked about the various extensibility options within SAP Work Zone. I will be focusing on the UI integration cards part of the session, building further on that topic with a deep dive into various capabilities and what one could achieve with such low code or no code declarative card development. We will discuss some of the more advanced concepts and do some live development. Idea is to slowly build upon what we learn and see what we can all achieve with declarative cards and how developers could tackle business requirements using them. We will do some live development. So I pray to the demo gods, let there be a very few glitches today. So, okay, we will start by creating a basic declarative card today and deploy it to SAP Work Zone, add it to our Work Zone page thereafter. So while the card generation is pretty straightforward, using the templates on Business Application Studio, it's quite easy, but this will only create a card that shows static JSON data to start with. As the first step, we will add some business data to our card, bringing our card closer to a more realistic scenario. Then we will explore how we can utilize the configuration capabilities of UI integration cards to add runtime customization and personalization of the cards. We will add a very simple configuration and see how we can use them as parameters within our previously created card to control their behavior based on such configurations. This is quite useful in building reusable cards that fit into various scenarios without having to change the code. At this stage, the card would already be quite good for most use cases, but the card would not be aware of its immediate surrounding. What do I mean by that? It means that the cards would not interact with each other and would not be aware of what is it as a group. So there is this capability of context-aware cards where the cards can be aware of the state of other cards embedded in the same page of a Work Zone workspace. It becomes smarter and more useful as a combination of the individual functionalities and the collective business context. So where these cards work together, giving rise to a more common topic dashboard kind of feel. So we will see how to add such context awareness to our UI integration cards. Finally, if time permits, we will explore another nifty feature that allows more power to the card developers, helping build better users experience at the end, which is the main aim of such cards in the first place. We will build an extension of the declarative card, which will add higher flexibility and ability to work with any business data service and model the card as per intended user experience. Although we started with the template generated card and low-code property editor to add data or context awareness, there will be no limitations to what you can achieve with declarative card, and we will see that with the manifest extension. And this could be very useful in many scenarios. For example, data transformation of business data as per card specifications, or add, say, custom formatters, and so on. Of course, there's more to it. SAP Work Zone provides many other extensibility features, which give wide range of capabilities to the developers, options to optimize the digital experience and build a truly impactful central entry point for your own users. And I will take you through some of those more advanced extensibility concepts of SAP Work Zone in my next session today. So hopefully this session would be useful for all of you, and it would motivate you to watch the next session as well. There I shall talk about component cards, shell plugins, and third-party integrations of Work Zone through APIs and webhooks. So at this stage, if we are wondering what is SAP Work Zone and what are UI integration cards, then I will take a quick recap of the same. And so let's start with the recap, shall we? So now, SAP Work Zone, and now some of you who have attended already the previous sessions today would have already known about this, or if you have worked already with SAP Work Zone, of course, you would have known about this. Now, I may have also worked with it, or perhaps also created UI integration card. Bear with me for just a couple of slides. I will introduce what is SAP Work Zone and what are user UI integration cards in a very brief nutshell. So yeah, for the benefit of those joining in and are not aware of SAP Work Zone or UI integration cards, I will try to introduce these topics before we deep dive into the details. For such attendees, I would also recommend to watch our previous sessions from today, which covers a detailed introduction to SAP Work Zone and various ways of extending SAP Work Zone and surface business data. So this would be quite useful. Right. So what is SAP Work Zone? Well, SAP Work Zone is a modern digital workplace solution available on SAP technology platform that enables a central entry point to the users, allowing them to access business applications and information, in fact, different content from various enterprise systems while collaborating with each other on topics structured by workspaces and pages. Well, on the right here, you can see a glimpse of how Work Zone may look like as an example. It is available on any device, and users can not only consume and act on business information, do their daily work, but also actively create content to share and collaborate. As a result, users are engaged and can centrally access all they need to get their work done. Now, Work Zone is more formidable with predefined content packages and templates from specific lines of business, truly enabling the access to best of industry or role-specific content. Employee-focused SAP Work Zone for SuccessFactors is one such fantastic example. SAP Work Zone also integrates seamlessly with, of course, SAP, but also third-party applications like communication tools or document stores, even ticketing systems. Now, SAP Work Zone also have a wide range of options to extend its capabilities. which are very useful for developers who would want to build content for SAP Work Zone for the users to consume in the central entry point or improve the digital experience overall. In this session and the next, we will see how developers can extend the capabilities of SAP Work Zone. So now, UI integration cards are small content building blocks, which can surface data from various systems, allowing granular and specific actions, and we can embed them in SAP Work Zone pages, along with other content, business content, or other content like collaboration content and knowledge articles, etc. Enabling us to easily blend the structured business information via cards and the unstructured content like blogs, articles, forums, and so on. The same topic-driven page within workspaces. Hence, a very useful feature for SAP Work Zone. Cards do allow a wide range of functionality, and we will see how. There are different types of UI integration cards, like declarative cards, component cards, and adaptive cards. In the screen, you can see some of the cards that are highlighted. Declarative cards are very easy to build, does not require any programming language knowledge in most cases, and packs in a lot of different templates to start from, like list cards, analytical cards like charts and graphs, or contact cards and stuff like that. You would use Business Application Studio to develop such cards and allow easy deployment to SAP Work Zone. Now, let us see how it is done. So this is the flow of development of the declarative cards development. And the basic steps are that you would use Business Application Studio to develop the card. And I think we will extensively see how in today's session. You would then deploy this card to SAP Work Zone via the Work Zone deployment channel. So basically the card set in the Work Zone repository for cards. Next, you would configure the cards. And today we'll see how you can use the basic configuration like destination to call the business data, or how you can add additional configurations and use them via parameters inside the cards. So these configurations help you personalize these cards for the specific usage and specific where they are currently being used. And then finally, you would enable them inside your Work Zone pages. Yeah, so this is the usual flow. And as I said, there are different types of cards you can start from and build. So at this stage, let's go and dive into a demo. I will stop sharing and switch over my screen. And I hope I can get that thing. Sorry, 1 second. The Zoom screen is coming in the middle. Yeah, it's just a second. All right. Daniel, you may help me if the Zoom screen is coming. I could. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Cool. All right. So we will start from the Business Application Studio, right? And we will now go into creating a new card using the Business Application Studio. I think this is something that Florian has already covered in the morning session, but yeah, I will start from there. So obviously you can start by, obviously you can start by creating a project from a template. And here we have several templates that you can use that basically is used for creating Work Zone specific content, like content package, etc. But today we will focus on the UI integration cards. And so I select that, I say start, and let's just give some project name. Say, for example, leader board, game leader board. I don't know. Sorry, this is the project name. Game ranking. All right, choose namespace. And let the card be highlight card to start with, but I would want to show different types of cards that you can currently use. There are plenty of cards, and you can always go to the card explorer. Maybe I quickly switch and show how it is. This is how we can go into the card explorer, and you can go into the card explorer, learn more about these cards. And one of the cool ways is to go to the explorer and see the different types of cards and see the different properties that affect how they affect the card, and you can run them here. You can try them out, and there are quite a good number of options here.
Where can I find that?
It's in the SAP Help, and you can easily search for UI integration cards in any of the search engines for SAP Work Zone. You will get the card integration. Maybe we can also give the link later. Cool. So going back and trying to create this highlight card for now, which is basically a tabular display of cards. And we say title is ranks of members. Now, what we're trying to build here, and that's interesting. Let's just try and show that. Oh, okay. I was about to get. Cool. So the whole demo that we will do today, all of it would be circling around this Team Knowledge Center workspace. So the scenario is that we're trying to build some UI integration cards for the Team Knowledge Center, which is the place where my team is trying to build as a central point to share data, share knowledge and information within the team. And in this regard, the people involved in this project are trying to build a gamification concept around it so that they can promote the idea of creation of knowledge sharing. And this is the theme I will also continue in the next session along. So hopefully we'll have some synergy in the concept. What are we trying to build? So we're going to now try to build a card of who's created how many and what points they have at this point of time, who much was shared more information and what points they have. Right, so let's go back and continue with that. So collaboration, promotion, gain points. All right, and we'll say finish. Now, this generates the application, sorry, the card code already, and this is the manifest. You can go and do many of things here, which is available in the contest menu. And one such thing is to go in and do an edit on the manifest. Now, manifest is the property view of the card that really encompasses the behavior of the card. And at this point of time, we will just a second, my monitor is going to sleep. I don't know why. Okay, so we will be able to change the behavior of the card by changing the properties within the manifest. And eventually it's actually a JSON file in the background, but then Business Application Studio provides an FT property editor that allows you to really focus on the particular property and change and work with it. For example, the headers here, let's just quickly target that to start with. So the header here says list of cards of top 5 products. Now I could just simply put it as ranks of top or other top scorers. And that changes, as you can see, right away. And you can say these are the game points based on game points earned in Work Zone collaboration. Okay, something like that. I mean, it's not really important. But at this point of time, what you would notice is that this card is basically connecting, not connecting to any business backend or getting business data, but rather surfacing data from this JSON array or JSON data object. Now let's just change that by connecting the real data source. So how would we go about doing this? Before we go, let's just explain how the structure of the manifest is. Now, the card manifest has some basic details on top, which we created. There's a version, and obviously we use this version to update it as and when you have newer changes to it and create new updates. You can bump up the version, and it would override and appear in your Work Zone page wherever you've added. Here's the icon to it. And you can add some title info, etc. to this. There's a IITN path, which basically is your internationalization file. If you were to use the internationals, which should be the case in actual project covering multiple regions, you could use them as the normal binding that you would use in with the curly braces and IITN as a model to provide the text. But for simplicity, I'm not doing that right now because we've not set up the IITN properties yet. Then comes the general configuration, which tells what kind of card it is and what are the different parameters it can get. And again, here's the point which we'll touch upon, the destinations and what kind of filters does it have. Then comes the data configuration, where you provide the configuration for the card as to how the data would be accessed. And this is for the whole of the card. Then a specific data configuration for the header region, and this is the header region. And then the data configuration for the card region. As you can see right now, it has static JSON data connected to it. And the card header configuration as to how this will be shown, like whether it will be shown above or below the content area and stuff like that. And the context configuration, which tells you how would you get the data into the context area, which is this part of the card. Right, so first thing, to get the actual business data, you would need to create a destination. So here I will go ahead and do this destination. And I will probably call it game SRD. The screen is jumping for some reason. The label is, let's say, game service. Oops, I don't know why it's jumping. The idea is that you create an alias of a destination that is already created in business technology platform before. Let me see if I can show you that. Oh, okay. I wanted to just simply show you that we already have that. So I'll just show you. Yeah, that's the destination we already have. And we have a basic game service created. I created basically, not any third-party service, which is going to be used as a backend for our service. Yeah. So let's just continue. So this is what we will be using as a destination. So we'll select the same destination, which we've already defined in BTP, which is this one. And that's it. The destination service has been added. Let's just go ahead and do the data configuration now. Now, in the data configuration section, we will need to put the data request URL. And that's here is where we use the destinations object and use the same key that we defined here, which is basically our key that we created for the destination. This is how you do it. And then you can do and get the corresponding specific endpoint, which you will do. So I will just go back into this and I'll show you that there are this get top active members service. If you just really query this, it returns some active members. So I'll just copy this and use that as my endpoint for this particular service. Right, and because it's also brought in the same section, we can use the data, same origin. And yeah, I would use the credentials, the cross-site data request. And the data path for this JSON root would be base, because whatever returns will be the data path for the content that I get directly into the content area and try to consume this data from the destination, the data configured for the card side. So first thing first, we have to get rid of this JSON data, which is attached. And you can see the cards now lost its data. That's because now we haven't yet configured the destination data yet. So let's just say, what would be the destination data request URL? Now, the destination URL would be based on what is the response structure of the service. Let's just go and see. The response structure is like this. It returns account and then a top level object, which internally has other JSON objects inside. So this array is what I'm more interested in. So I would rather use something like this. And then, sorry, what did I do? I think I changed the wrong place. Okay, SRV / top scorers, if I'm not wrong. No, I forgot. Top active members. Yeah, top active members. And here we were doing the card configuration here. Sorry, data configuration for content, top active members, and data path off for the JSON route. This is where we'll do the top scorers part. And we can already see that the top scorer paths, at least the names have come up. Why? Because the card is configured to take the title from this name property of each of these. And if you really go back here, you see name is actually there. So let's just try and add other details so that they also come up. So let us show the score here. And you can see the scores that they have. For now, I don't have an highlight object, so I've just let it none. Highlight basically adds the marker, column marker as to whether they're in status success or error or whatever. Okay, and maybe you can just also add a icon to each of them, giving such an icon, and that's more or less it. You can also add an info value, something like where do they belong. So if I'm not wrong, that's region, right? And that's the set. The region is already coming up. We are actually done by, and you can already see from the preview, the WYSIWYG preview as to how its card is behaving. We can already start to deploy this. So we will go ahead and do this and say continue. Once we do this, the card is deployed and it's time for us to go check that here. But for the first thing we have to do is go to the administrator console and enable this card in the beginning. So I think we created something called ranking and ranks of members. And here you can see the configuration is already coming up automatically. Because I'm using a destination, the corresponding destination comes up as an admin configuration already at the very place where you can add the card. So I'm not going to change because that's where I'm going to add, and I've enabled it. So I will go back to my workspace, and now it's time to add the card. So let's just get to a situation, and perhaps I will add the card here, and we'll add a widget, and the card was ranks, I don't know, ranks of members, and then add it. Oops. I don't know, let me see what's wrong. But yeah, as I said, demos can go strange at times. Let me just quickly review the thing that we have done. Okay, looks correct. Yeah. Yeah. Looks right to me. Okay, and top scores, the card is loading here. These are correct as well. I'm not sure. Okay. Nevertheless,
I have a question. There were two places where you entered the path, destination. So why did you have to do that twice? Unless
no, actually, I did not enter it two places. I overwrote this one with when I was trying to add the JSON path here below. That's why it just reacted that way.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So, service is correct. Well,
we can see the data in this preview.
Yeah, we can see the data card is loading, but then the same doesn't seem to be the case at the, yeah. Okay, well, so at this point of time, this one thing I could do is I will use one of the existing backup cards, which thankfully I've had, because this is how your is this the one? Let me see. No. Let's see, I think I added a leaderboard card. Yeah, I would just add that. And okay, now it shows, but for some reason it did not for the previous one, which we built. I don't know why. But nevertheless, we can continue with our development with our backup card, thankfully, and which is strange because it's loading here, but then let's just continue. Let's not waste our time on this. Coming to the next topic, I would switch to the presentation one more time. So give me a second. Let me get the presentation out. Right. Got the presentation out again. And let me share my screen. Again. Right. Sorry. Desktop one and share. So hope you can see my screen again. And so we just did this part where you have to add the data into the integration card, so we can configure the destination and binding to surface the business data. We already did that demo, so we'll go to the next one, which is adding a configuration to your card. Now, to add a parameter and a configuration to your integration card, what you would need is you would have to create a parameter. So let me just get to that part. So yeah. So now to add a parameter to this, we can use the general configuration area where we can add a corresponding parameter to it. And first thing is, it shows you again, it's quite easy to add them. There is no code involved. Once again, you can say the key is, say, I don't know why my screen is jumping. It happens when I share my screen. Let us say this parameter will be used to filter the members in this place. So at this point of time, let's say we will use all filter to get the parameters, and yeah, label is region filter itself, and some description which says filter. I don't know if it's really bad jumping. I don't know why is it happening. Filter data by region. Oh my God, this is jumping way too much. Right, and I don't want to change anything else. Rest, you can see the manifest path is already generated for you, and the corresponding is it visible to admin and visible to users. Here you can decide whether the parameters, the corresponding configuration that would be generated, who can maintain them? Can the admin maintain them, or the content administrator who really can manage the card at the workspace level, at the work page level? Can they maintain them, and who can edit them, and etc. Whether it's a required parameter or not, you can also maintain that. In this case, I don't want, because the card should still be able to load the top members of the scorers from all over the region, unless you don't want to filter as well. And yeah, the parameter is added, but then we haven't really seen any change here, right? Because there is no link to the parameter to the behavior of the card. And let's do that. Let's add a parameter or a request parameter, which is basically like creating a filter, and I will pass this filter parameters object. I'm sorry, no, I think it should be parameters, object, and then region filter / value. I think this should be sending the thing, but at this point in time, since it's passing all, let us try and change the value here to one of the regions, let's say Latin Americas. No. So let's see. Maybe it's because of the space or something. I will remove the space there and filter region. Okay. Region filter values. Yeah, parameters, region filter values. So this should be available there. Now, what I've done is set the filter to parameters, region filter / value, and that should be it. Okay. Okay, maybe that's because I'm adding it to the actual service, but maybe I will add it at the, sorry, I will add it to the card parameter, card context here. Right, and let's just add it here. Now you can see that it's coming only data coming from the Latin American region. And if I were to change this to now the value to say, I don't know, EMEA, that's another option. You can see that's already getting filtered by EMEA. And the last one, if I were to change that to say back to all, you would see data from all the regions based on the ranking. And this is how the service also works, allowing the service filtration. Now, what is important is when you added this parameter, you also created something, or rather what was generated automatically in the background is a configuration. And here's what you can see, the region filter is already created as a configuration item, which will show up in the configuration form. So I would go ahead and deploy this. Sorry. And I hope, I have to, sorry, I forgot to, this is a good reason why it failed, because you need to also bump the version up, otherwise there'll be a conflict. So I bumped it to 1.0.1, and now this should go through. And once this goes through, I will be able to now, let's just try and add the card one more time and see if somehow the demigods are happy with me. And we can see the card. So the card I created was ranks of members. And here you see now the region value filter is coming up. So yeah, let's just quickly add that, unfortunately. But at least I can show you that the region filters show up, and you can now maintain some other region filter and show up. So something similar here I can show with the one which I replaced. So this leaderboard built on the same way. Here the region, instead of saying all, if I say, let's say EMEA, we will start seeing, if I publish this, should start seeing only EMEA region. That's because this card does not react to the parameters. That's the builder for the next demo, which is the context awareness. So once we go to the next one, we will be able to identify why was that happening. So it does work, as in the card is already meant to switch over. So I will now add the context awareness to it. So before I do that, let's just look into the idea of what is context awareness here. Now, UI integration cards alone can call business application backend services, get data, mash data up, and show it in the cards itself, but they are not aware of the context of where they exist. And here's the idea where when you want to make anything context aware, you want to really tell where they exist and what is the context in which the user is working. So SAP Work Zone allows cards to access and set page context parameters. Now, how is that useful? Let's say you have multiple cards inside the same page. you can always set the context based on the user interaction inside the card. And based on that, you can trigger the behavior on the other card, as in, because what happens is, if you look at the flow in the step one, you would probably get the context from any card at the load at the beginning when the work zone loads up. And they accordingly, based on the initial context, they will show the cards and the corresponding behavior will be set. Now, one could also have two different types of context. One, which is work zone's own context variables, which are already available, which are reserved namespaces like SAP Work Zone, etc. Or you could also get context which is set by other cards in the same page. So how would that be? Let's say you have a card and you have assigned some actions to the UI element, like on a click of a row inside a table, or you can ask the page context to change or add a new context variable. This is this part, step 2. Step 3 is whenever work zone gets a request to change the context or set a context variable from one of its context members, it does that, it sets it up, and also then refreshes all the cards in the same page, making every card again retrieve the context and react accordingly. And that's how context of one card set from one card is received and worked by all of the cards in the vicinity. Now, this can be a very powerful tool to build very dashboard-like feeling where you can have drill downs of one card or a card that has, say, region data and some other card that has, say, category data, and you can select the region and a category, and the other third card could probably be using this category and region to drill down on specific information for that category and that region. And there's plenty of such options. I mean, one can always imagine various ways in which you can build dashboards where each individual UI units, the unit cards would be coming together to make a very useful topic-specific page, which can be quite useful in terms of things. So let's see a demo of that. And in this scenario, given that my card did not work at the runtime, thanks to how it goes in every demo, I will try and show you how the first card is created. So let's go back to the same thing. And you see the region scorecard is an existing card that I've already have. This was the card which is created already. And I will show you how the card really shows and sends the information to the page context. So first, let's open the region game scorecard. And let's just edit this. Right. Now I will close this editor and that. And this is the region scorecard, which is obviously you can see in the work zone side. Now, how do we add a context awareness to it? So this is a list card. This is also a highlight card, which allows you to now add an action to individual content. So how is that? If you see data configuration, card configuration of content, here there's an action that I've added initially. And this action, what it does, it updates the context. You see it highlighted as red because somehow Business Application Studio does not consider that as yet a valid action type. But obviously this is documented and you can see that you can use any of these actions along with other actions, for example, navigation or submission of data and stuff like that. But quite a normal use case would be an action where you say, when you click on this EMEA, you want to go to the page, or let's say an application within Work Zone, which loads very specific information about EMEA. So this could be the card which gives you a gist of your information and then you navigate away. Another option is to also do update context. So when you click on this, the context is updated. And what is it setting? It is setting this namespace. Obviously, if you don't have a namespace, you might interfere with the different variables that you're setting to the page context. So its context namespace is important. And then the context is basically a JSON value, which you can set. I will show you the JSON value here, how the context was set here. And so just a second. Yeah, object context, and the context itself is a JSON object, which is basically setting the region to the region name, which is selected here. So the region name is basically this object, which you can also see in the context. So region name is basically the title. So every time you click on it, it will set the page parameter, context parameter saying that this is the region, and you set that, please. And that's what we are doing here in the region name. So we are doing an update context on the action and setting this in the namespace. So when you click on it, so obviously here we don't have any other card because you're always seeing one preview. So you can see that what it is doing is triggering the action update context and sending this parameters inside. Now, what we can do in the other card at this point of time is to set, which will be like here. We can now, what we can do to, how can we consume this in another card? So this is where we go back to the card editor, manifest editor, and we can close this. Sorry, I'll just start again so that I'm not changing the region game ranking. Yeah, this is the one which we want. And we'll go into the edit mode. And here we will go ahead and see how we can use this context. So once in the other card, we saw how to set this context, but here we'll see how we can read the context. And context in itself is a, what you can say, reserved model name inside your declarative card, which means instead of, so what we did here, we set the parameters, right, to the filter. So here we are setting the parameters. Instead of that, we will set the context of the thing. But here, obviously, we can't set the region filter. Instead, the context. So if you remember in this other card, we were setting it with a namespace, which is com.sap.dx.demo. And the, let me just, and demo dot, and the, this is the context, and we were setting the context value region. We can quickly confirm that as well. Here, if you see, no, I think we have to do, so simply open the logic card and see. Yeah, we were setting the context region to the name. So this is the namespace, and then the value was region, which we retrieve. And this is how you set the context. This is how you would use the context. Again, you cannot see that happening here, but we will see that live in the page again with the already deployed card. That's why you were not seeing the parameter change in the card, because this was already created, changed. So here is the other card, which we can already see that should now react to this particular card selection. So let's first see what exactly this does. If you click on the particular row inside this card, we were setting the context of the page, and see a filter value comes up here, which says region equals EMEA. And based on the selection, it sets it. Now, what does happen? Again, Work Zone page will inform all the cards to refresh. This card will also get refreshed, and it will now pick this region because we mapped the context model variable region, and that's why you see only EMEA here. Now, if I move to Latin America selection, it changes the region selection at Latin America, and you see the cards have now only showing the Latin America members or filters based on that. If I clear all the filters, this will be gone. The filter is gone from the page variable, from the page in itself, and you can see that there is no filter.
Each card can set something on the page, right? Set the context on the page, and each card can decide if it wants to do something with that context.
Absolutely. So each card can set the context here. Every cards get a refresh from the Work Zone every time something new is set. And then the card, how the card deals with this information is completely a card's choice. So let's say you're thinking of a scenario where you have a dashboard of sales, when you have something like region card, and then you have product card and categories and etc. And all this together can set a complex filter, which can then affect other cards which are showing more detailed granular information. Okay. And that's how the use of context awareness card really comes alive.
Okay. I think we have to wrap it up within a
Yeah.
minute, so we might have to skip the last demo.
Yeah,
But
I
is
just
there-
want to quickly speak about this, and we should be good on that. I just take 1 minute of this your time and say that one can always create manifest extensions for doing. So what we saw in declarative cards is we were able to take everything using the property editor and in the manifest itself define everything, but then there is no place where you can define more logic. Obviously, it's much simpler logic of, let's say, collecting and adding a couple of parameters together in a one column view. You could use the bindings itself, or for that matter, you can use the expression binding, which is also if you're coming from SAP UI5 or background, you would know what expression bindings are. But if you have something more than that, let's say you're getting some information from backend and then you want to add some logic around it to produce, which was like highlight. And in our case, if you see here, here's some green because some of the scores are 270. So I've decided that anything that is score is between 200 to 250, show it as orange. Anything less than 200 is not that great. Anything above 250 is doing very good. This is just a random scenario, but you can see where this is useful, because the service does not return anything like that. It's only return the score. So now I had created a small logic in the manifest extension, which is written in JavaScript. And there I create a formatter which says, if the score is between so-and-so, return error. If the score is between so-and-so, return warning. And the score is more than 250 in this case, return success. And that's how the highlights are happening. I then bound the highlights to this particular formatter response of the manifest extension. So that really opens up the capability of integration card, UI integration cards to not only utilize everything within the low-code fashion of Business Application Studio's property editor, but you can also add additional code into your declarative cards to make it even more robust and capable. So that's where we wrap for now, and
Okay.
we'll into more advanced sessions in the next one.
Okay, we'll wrap it up there. The next session, you'll go into sophisticated extensions of basically Work Zone and developing those extensions of all types. So that'll be coming up in 10 minutes. So we'll start that. Anyway, thank you, Rupam, for doing that, and we'll see you again soon.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.